All right, we're back with Carter's Corner. The joyous thing about doing live radio, things happen, and there's not much you can do about it. So we just had a total net drop out then, so we lost the stream, but we're back again. So just to rehash, we do have Robert Epstone. I nearly said Epstein. I was like, no, he's not around anymore. So we've got Robert Epstone live all the way on Skype from Bali, Indonesia. And we've got Joel Jamal live from New South Wales, Australia, obviously. So before we had a very interesting technical issue, Robert was telling us about what Solemen do in Bali. So let's start again, because I'm not sure how much actually made it through to air.
Okay, I founded Yayasan Solemen Indonesia, which is a fully registered charity in Bali 10 years ago. Solemen has, for almost a decade now, been very active throughout Bali, searching and finding forgotten people, mainly in the poorest and remote areas, who are not helped by the government. People who are living with disabilities, mental health disorders, acute or chronic illnesses, and their families. Solemen's focus is to actively search for people who fall through the cracks, to bring them holistic, life-saving or life-changing assistance. Over the last 10 years, we've grown from helping one small child to currently helping over 2,400 people, with numbers growing particularly since the pandemic. Solemen's 10-bedroom centre in Kuta provides pre- and post-operative care and often serves up to 90 meals per day for our patients. Some food is grown in our vegetable gardens. Solemen's focus is on food distribution, targeted medical assistance, a vigorous mental health program, and help providing sustainable tropical gardens, including aquaponics, in order to lift people out of the charity cycle. We are still distributing food parcels daily to malnourished children and adults all around the island. To give you an idea of some of our monthly costs, high nutrition milk is around $5,000 a month. Medicines for our mental health patients, either locked up in cages or shackled by chains in some cases for over 20 years, is over $7,000. The hospitality industry has traditionally provided the vast majority of our funding, whilst corporate sponsorship has been a lifeline, paid in monthly installments for Solemen's programs. Solemen have multiple popular partnerships with hotels and villa management companies, whereby guests are charged an optional $1 per night or $1 per stay. This is at the no cost to the hotel, and for the guest it's less than the cost of a coffee. It also provides great PR for the hotels. As an example, Hard Rock's 400 plus rooms pre-pandemic, when 85% average occupancy, yielded on average around $2,500 a month for our programs. Bali Dynasty Resort, or rather their guests, provided a car from this initiative to collect and return kids home daily from all around the island for therapy, and also helped to fund our headquarters with the 10 bedrooms in Kuta. Solemen's merchandise, primarily sales of our Soul Teddy, you see this one? A cute little teddy bear, together with Mini Teddy, a smaller keychain version, yielded $35,000 a year, actually 75% of our merchandise sales from hotels and various other retail outlets. Funding from 90% of our monthly donors stopped immediately when the pandemic struck.
Okay.
Similarly, donations from individuals and corporate sponsorships have all but dried up. Donation boxes, all boxes in more than 100 locations around Bali, are now pitifully redundant. Solemen's food drive boxes, now in most of the leading supermarkets in Bali, have considerably reduced our monthly costs for food parcels. In addition, there have been various methods to raise funds in the past, including regular merchandise fundraising drives and fundraising events, all previously contributing.
Yep.
More recently, we launched a bold 5-year strategic plan and our prospectus targeting wealthy private donors and corporations with CSR programs and government grants.
All right.
Please contact me for a copy.
Hey, sorry to cut you off there, Robert. So what we're doing is we need to talk more about what is actually happening on the streets of Solemen and all that. So the biggest problem we have with this business is a community radio station. We're really restricted on things like that. So it's borderline getting into a sales pitch. So what I'd really love to talk about here, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. I was a little bit worried that you'd get yourself into trouble with that one. So, so when you're actually going around and helping out these people, how much of an impact has that actually had on the actual individual people? So from the normal people having everyday jobs, what's now happening instead?
Well, hundreds of thousands of people are out of work. Most of the work was within the hospitality industry. You know, many of you on this call know that the community of Bali is devastated from the lockdowns and travel restrictions, which have reduced tourism on the islands to nothing. Apart from those, I would say, lucky people stuck here for all the reasons we know.
Okay.
Recent articles estimate that over 80% unemployment. We've been meeting villagers in some remote parts who haven't eaten for days. As such, I know it's a sales call, you've called it a sales call. I'm appealing to all those on this call who are secure and have a philanthropic or compassionate streak to contact me to consider sponsoring some of our Solemen's programs so we can get out there.
Okay, excellent. So one of the things that we will definitely do on our website and all our links, we'll put all your links in there as well so people can actually see what you're doing. If they want to get out there and help you out, they'll be able to do that for you as well. So one of the things our media, especially over here, is they're talking about people dying in hospitals and things like that. So I do need to go to a quick message because we are a little bit over because I had to play an extra song. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to a quick message from our sponsors, and when we come back, it will be in about 30 seconds or so. We'll continue this conversation, and what I'd love to talk to you about is the actual people themselves. How many people are actually seen to have COVID? Is there actually people dying in the streets? Because the picture that's been painted over in Australia, especially from places like Channel 9, Channel 10 News, Channel 7, is that Bali has been absolutely smashed on a health side of things because of COVID. So I want to see, is that really, really happening? So we do have Robert Epstone from Solemen, Bali, and we've also got Joel Jamal from New South Wales in Australia. So we'll be right back after this. All right, this is Carter's Corner with Travis Carter. We are doing something a little bit new here today. We do have two guests, one international all the way from Bali, Indonesia. So that's Robert Epstone. You'll have to correct me on this if I'm wrong. You are the founder of Solemen Indonesia?
Yeah, it's called Yayasan Solemen Indonesia. Yayasan is a word for foundation.
Yep, fantastic. And in New South Wales, just chilling out, having a listen, having a bit of a chat. We've got Joel Jamal, who has a YouTube channel called The Ark. There's a little logo there on the left-hand side there for him. Fantastic channel for both of them, so we'll be talking more to Joel later. Now, Robert, one of the things we were talking before we went to a message from our sponsors is on the Australian media side of things, if you didn't know anyone in Bali, you'd think it'd be an absolute war zone. There'd be dead bodies in the street. The hospitals are absolutely out their capacity. The government would have no idea what they're doing. It's just like an absolute mess. Tell us the truth. Is there dead people in the street? Are the hospitals like absolute chockers? Is the government struggling, or is the government actually doing a really good job over there?
Well, you know, my team's out there every single day of the week and weekends. And although there are increasing numbers of people already or on the verge of homelessness and starvation and medical ruin, they're not dying in the streets. It's absolute nonsense. We're out of hospitals all over the island, and we haven't seen hospitals full of COVID cases. I myself was in hospital, actually, recently, and I was the only person on the ward, on the floor, in fact. So although the Australian press may be putting stuff like that out, It's absolutely not true. In fact, every day I wake up in the morning and thinking how blessed I am to be in Bali. I come from England, and they're far worse off in England, particularly London, as far as we live an outdoor life, and the restaurants are open, the clubs are open, everything's fairly open. And people are walking around. Not everybody, most people are wearing masks. There's an area in Bali you've probably heard of, Canggu, where there's a lot of bravado and Russians and other people who are going around without masks, being in a very cavalier fashion. But most sensible people, and definitely the Indonesians, are mainly wearing masks.
Okay, sorry to cut you off there. We have done a few segments here about the mask wearing. In Australia, it got made mandatory for about 5 days in WA. Pre-COVID, I know my wife's Vietnamese and everyone wears a mask outside over there. Is Bali the same? Was masks a part of the everyday life pre-COVID, or is this a new thing that's been happening over in Bali?
Pre-COVID, absolutely not, no. Only since March, when the pandemic struck, we've been wearing masks. Well, most sensible people have been wearing masks. As I say, there are certain clubs quite a number of clubs actually, in Canggu, where people are not socially distancing, and people are not wearing masks. But the vast majority of sensible people in most places are wearing masks. And as I said, the Indonesians primarily are showing a great example.
Okay, fantastic. So just to summarise, A, there's no people dying in the street. B, the hospitals are not at capacity.
No.
And now, one of the big things about over in Australia, a lot of people are talking about how well, the Mark McGowan WA government has done. If you had to summarise the Bali government, would you say they've done a really, really good job, or do you think they've been a little bit lacklustre?
I would say that the Bali government, bless them, are doing the very best that they can. It's damn difficult, and they're doing the best that they possibly can. I don't know exactly what they're doing, because nobody ever knows what a government is doing exactly. But as far as we can see, they're doing a reasonably good job.
Fantastic. So it's always good to see a government supporting their people rather than trying to hinder them. Some of the other stuff that you were talking about, how you do have this relationship with a lot of the businesses there. What have you noticed the biggest thing about the businesses, especially the smaller, like individual businesses, like we call them small businesses or medium-sized businesses? How have they been really affected, considering how much the tourism side of things has gone down?
Well, let me tell you. Last week, my head of outreach and co-founder, Sarah Chapman, who you may have heard of, and I went down Jalan Legian, which is an awfully long street, and it's usually jam-packed. We were the only car driving for at least 10 minutes, the full length of Jalan Legian. No shops open, everything boarded up, nobody else. We didn't see anybody else. It's really like a ghost town. Mainly in Kuta, actually. It was so sad. It was so very sad. People have lost their livelihoods. As I say, mostly because of the collapse of the hospitality industry. But there are some really inspirational characters appearing. One of them was supposed to be on tonight, who lost his job as a receptionist in a hotel. And he's got 3 kids, and he started selling vegetables and fruit. And then when that got going, he started baking. And now he's got a thriving business. He's earning a lot more money than he did as a receptionist in a hotel. And there are a number of such characters going around. But Balinese are very resourceful. It's wonderful to see cases like that. I hope we can get it on the show.
That's absolutely great. We did try, but technology, this is the first time we'll try this, so it's a little bit unknown, so maybe next time I would love to talk to this gentleman. So there's a few...
there are a number of people like that.
Yeah, so I love seeing very resourceful people. So with the people that do want to start these sort of businesses and they need a bit of help, especially one thing I love about Australia is how generous we are over here. How would, if, say I wanted to send you some money over in Bali, how would we do that from Australia? How do we get in contact with you guys?
www.solemen.org/donate. www.solemen.org/donate. Look at our website and just press how to donate. You can send money, direct bank transfer or via PayPal or via credit card or debit card, or just get in touch with yourself and then and
Fantastic. Great. So what we'll do, we'll make sure...
Just get my number from Travers.
We'll make sure that all the details are actually up on this stream, so it'll take us a little bit of time after the show. We'll get that definitely going there. So the one thing I want to do, we will need to go to a few more messages shortly. Have you seen a roadmap out of COVID Bali, or is this? Does it look like all the restrictions and everything is going to be continuing in the near future?
Well, I understand that Singapore Airlines are going to be up and running in May, and there's rumours that the airport will be open in June or July. But you never really know. These are just rumours. Actually, just one thing I needed to tell you, that there were 5 charities got together under the umbrella banner of CORE, and we're doing a walk from the west coast to the east coast, from Tabanan to Chandivasa, to raise awareness and funds for those people out in the villages that I was talking about. That's from April the 2nd to the 11th.
Okay, if you can send us the details for that as well, we'll make sure it comes up on our website as well.
Already done.
Fantastic. Great. So one of the things that I'd really, really want to emphasise as well, one of the things, I don't know if it made it to your news over there, but at the end of 2019, I think it was, there was a massive bushfire in Australia. And there was all these concerts done to raise money and all that sort of stuff. And I think it was the Red Cross from memory. They raised something like $130 million. Like, it was a huge effort, like great effort. But what happened is they kept something like $30 million for administration costs and future events. So one of the things, talking to you off air, you were telling us about how Solemen actually operates. So let's say a very generous person come along and donated you $1 million. What happens? What's the breakdown for that $1 million? Where does that $1 million go?
Well, just first of all, I have to tell you that neither myself nor Sarah Chapman in the last 10 years have taken salaries from the charity. In fact, we've been partly funding the charity when it was needed. So just around about 22% goes in administration. We need to pay our staff. We don't operate with volunteers because volunteers come and go. So we have a very compassionate and dedicated team of paid Indonesians, and we need to get our cars filled up with petrol to be around the island every single day, and so I'm given to understand that 22% is actually quite a low figure.
So that's great. So a lot of charities, they will pay their CEOs and the bosses and the corporates a huge amount of money. So like you saw with the Red Cross. So after expenses, is it a fair comment to say that 100% of money donated goes to the people that really need it?
Absolutely. I don't know of another charity where the founder and the co-founder don't take any salaries. I've never heard of it. We're absolutely. My wife's actually very upset with me because we had to downsize. Honestly, we had to downsize because I've been working for over 10 years without any income, and it's just because of the way I am and the way Sarah Chapman is that we've done it. We're I guess you could say we're out and out humanitarians and haven't looked after ourselves. But that's the way it is, and I don't regret anything.
So hopefully your wife doesn't get too angry at you, but Robert, you've been absolutely phenomenal on the show. I know so many friends over here, they're just like biting out the bit. They just want to get back over to Bali. They used to go there every set of school holidays, every holidays they get. Now, Joel, is Bali, has it got the same sort of attraction to you guys over on the East Coast there?
Yeah, a ton of people go to Bali. It's a beautiful place, and there's a lot of things you could do there.
Yep. So I have to say, from the WA perspective, we want to get over there. We can't wait for the borders to be open again. Hopefully our government will finally get off their backside and open the borders so we can go travelling again. So it's just a really, really tough thing. We love helping our neighbours. We love helping them out. And Robert, you've been absolutely phenomenal. So thank you for coming onto the show and putting up with all our technical difficulties. So what we'll do, we do need to go to a quick message from our sponsors again, and we'll chuck another song as well. Before we go, can I just get that web address again off you, please?
www.solemen.org/donate.
Great. So what?
www.solemen.org/donate.
So we'll make sure that is on our Facebook, that's on our YouTube channels, on all the platforms that we have available. So we'll get it out there. Would love to catch up with you again in the future, see how you're going after all the borders are opened up again, and we'll definitely have a chat again. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go jump over into a few messages from our sponsors, and we'll grab a song. And after that, we've got some things we want to discuss with Joel on the other side of these messages. So again, Robert, thank you very much for coming on the show with us today.